The Fujicast is an independent Loading Zone production.
I'm not sure that really there's a place in this world for chauffeurs dressed like Columbo. I don't see it, Kev. How on earth did you get the job, apart from being Rosa's, doting dad, how on earth did you get the job to give lifts or chauffeur, what is it, seven, including Rosa, to the school prom?
7 16-year-old girls, yeah. What? I didn't apply for the job. I was rather told I was doing it.
What do you mean you were told?
Well, Kev. Yes, Gemma. On the 28th of June, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Nothing, Gemma. Good, because you're chauffeuring the girls to their prom.
Oh, right, okay.
That's how the interview and acceptance process went.
And that was it, was it? Right, what are you driving? You're not surely taking them in your Kia. I mean, I fondly love my Kia, as I know you do, but come on, that is not the sort of vehicle that the girls want to go to their prom in. And you wouldn't get 7 in a Sportage anyway.
No, we are taking them, I am taking them in Auntie Laura's VW camper thingy-majiggy.
Wait, is it one of those traditional split screen kind of things? Or
I don't know, never seen it. I'll find out tonight.
You've never driven it?
No. Can't be that difficult, can it? And Auntie Laura kindly is dressing it up. She's putting, drinks in there. They've got pictures hanging from dangly things. Because it's an hour's drive to the prom.
What?
Yeah. It's way out. It's up near Watered-under-Edge. It's miles away.
Your local school, Kev. What's going on?
I know. And in Malmesbury, we've got some got the Old Bell Hotel, we've got the Smoking Dog, all these places, although in fairness, they probably wouldn't be able to fit 350 people in them. So
that's true.
Anyway, we are going to somewhere north of Watered-under-Edge, which is a very, very English place, isn't it? Watered-under-Edge.
It's very,
So I shall be driving them. First of all, I've got to go in my chauffeur outfit, take their pictures, and then take them and then pick them up.
Would you do us a favour? Would you put you in your chauffeur outfit? Would you get Gemma to take a picture and put it on the show page, please?
The Fujicast.
I'd like to see what you look like, Kev, as a chauffeur. Do you think this could be now you've given up weddings? Well, not officially given up. You'll still do them if the right one comes in at £14,500. But now that one is sort of shuffled out of platform, whatever. Do you think chauffeur could that be the new job, Kev? I know you're looking for what's going to be the next.
Well, it might be. I love driving. I wouldn't mind being a delivery driver, I've got to say, as long as it didn't involve me having to find dodgy parking spaces and stuff. But
that's what delivery drivers have to do, Kev.
Well, not all of them. Not if you're delivering for I don't know, medical company, driving between their offices or something. I don't know. Yeah. But no, I won't be doing that. I've got plenty on. Thank you very much.
I'm not sure. It looks very, very romantic, this idea of being a long-distance truck driver. But when I heard of what happens with plastic bottles, I thought better of that. I thought, that doesn't sound very romantic to me. That's not got my name written all over it. Anyway,
plastic bottles?
Have you never heard of what? I'll explain in a moment. Welcome to the Fujicast. You and your questions. Not about plastic bottles, but loosely about photography. About Fuji, of course, Fujifilm, although they don't have to be exclusively Fujifilm questions. Your question sent in to click@fujicast.co.uk, or, of course, you can send it via Facebook, which Kev's in charge of. How are we doing, Kev, on the Facebook questions front?
Awful.
What?
Awful.
No? Oh.
Yes, awful. We need more questions. I've got plenty to get through, but we haven't had many questions. Although, I was thinking about this the other day. This happened last summer as well. People are busy, aren't they? Go on holidays. Yeah. They're busy, especially the wedding photographers, very, very busy people. But we've got plenty to get on with. It's fine. Give me an opportunity to dig into the ones that we've kind of glossed over a bit.
Should we not just have a shutdown? Like the Italians do. The Italians close down, I think, for about a month, don't they? I've always thought that's very...
Spanish do as well,
Spanish, yeah. I only know about the Italian way because I used to use an Italian album company a long time ago. And you could, that was it. During peak wedding season, try and call them. Nothing going on here, mate. We're all on holiday. It was a bit like you, the only wedding photographer in the world that decided to take the whole of August off.
Yep, this is true.
Class act, Mullins. Class act. Yeah, have you never heard about the bottles and long distance drivers?
No, I'm not sure I want to.
Well,
I think it might be a bit of a dodgy story.
Well, insofar as, you only have so many hours you're on the road, because you have that, what's it called, tachograph?
Oh, I see where this is going, I think.
Do you?
Is it to do with relieving yourself when you need a wee-wee?
Sometimes it's like speaking to a 7-year-old version of you. Come on, Kevin. Do you need a wee-wee?
Well, I did actually. That's why I asked you to wait a couple of minutes before we started recording.
Well, if you did it the truck driver way, just get yourself once you've finished your milk and your tea, fill up the bottle again. But the unfortunate thing is, in some countries, you'll find just plastic bottles along the side of the road. Don't touch them, Kev. That's for sure. See, it's not so romantic, but I always had that idea, especially the American long-distance trucks. I love that idea. I mean, I saw one. I went to a steam rally last weekend, and there was a massive, great big American, proper beefy truck there, Kev. Like a Smokey and the Bandits truck.
Yeah.
And I thought, that looks like, I could just imagine myself in it. There'd be me, there'd be Barney, the family would be happy because I'd be up their hair. And I'd have my podcast playing. I'd probably get into country music, because I think you'd probably need to. Yeah, I'd be happy as Larry, I thought, until somebody told me exactly what goes on as a truck driver. And then I thought, no, it's not for me.
Right. Okay. Yes. Yeah, maybe I won't do that then.
Talking of country music, I watched a brilliant film last night on Hank Williams.
Oh, Hank Williams, yeah.
It's such a tragic story. I had no idea.
Yeah, it's a tragic story. And he was a very naughty boy.
Well, he was. Yeah, he was. But also the tragedy of the drink abuse and so on. What a talented guy. Died at age 29. I had no idea. I thought Hank Williams was one of those guys that went on for a long, long time because he sold so many millions and millions and millions of records.
He did, yeah. And he also had millions and millions and millions of kids. If you go down the lineage, there's Hank Williams Jr., Hank Williams III, and there's even one that is he claims he is one of Hank Williams's grandchildren, sons, whatever.
Right, okay. Yeah.
Through lineage, but there's no real proof. So he just calls himself IV, as in the Roman numerals.
Oh.
And I recommend everybody should listen to IV's music. He's got, I think the last time I looked, he'd only done one album. It might even have been an EP. It's really good. It's like country on steroids.
He's not called IV though.
Yeah,
no.
The IV band. Yeah.
No.
But with the Roman numerals, not as in intravenous.
No, I didn't mean that, Kev. No, I was thinking about the X100 here. You got to stick with. You said it's the X106.
Yeah.
You can't start using Roman numerals just when it suits you, Kev.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. No.
But I would imagine you're quite the fan.
I am, definitely.
I think I
used to play him a lot on my radio show when I used to do that.
Did you? I watched the film and I had no intention of watching the end of it, but I mean the story's tragic, but I like the music so much I just stuck with it, Kev, all the way till about 1:30 in the morning.
Have you seen the documentary on what's his name, James Blunt?
No, I haven't.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. I love James Blunt. I mean, I think his music's fine. I'm not a huge fan of his music, but his music's fine. But he is a brilliant person. Everybody hated him, didn't they? A lot of people hated him.
Did they? I don't recall that.
Yeah,
really?
posh boy in music, and he was absolutely vilified. But he turned it all around by becoming the funniest thing on Twitter I've ever seen. He would reply in the most amazing way.
I've never seen his Twitter feed.
Look it up. And then do
you mean TikTok or Twitter?
No, this was Twitter.
Right, okay.
And the documentary is excellent. Actually, it's really good. It's quite serious in places because he was in Serbia, during the war and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But it's very honest. It's just really good. He comes across really well. I really liked it.
2 tips: James Blunt, the documentary. Can't remember the name of the Hank Williams film, but you'll find it. It's just such a good film.
Yeah.
Right, before we start, you might have thought, what, before you started? You've been going on about Hank Williams and James Blunt for a while now. Thank you to our wonderful sponsors, Pick Time, for supporting us on the show. They've been with us for a while now, and we use them, Kev, both yourself and me, for showing our photography to our clients. It's quite a busy time with my clients at the moment, putting them all up, the wedding season. So if you want to sell your pictures, prints, albums, all that kind of stuff through a gallery, the best way to do it is by having a presence on PickTime, pick-time.com. Kev, you're not just using it for weddings now, of course. As we said before, you'll be using it for a whole host of stuff, won't you?
Yeah, I did a commercial shoot on Wednesday, in fact, edited yesterday, delivered it today, sent them in the gallery. Perfect, actually, for that, because it was essentially business headshots, 20 of them, new business.
Right.
And it just automatically identifies the faces and stuff, doesn't it? So they can, the people can log on. They say, right, that's my face. I just want my images, my LinkedIn profile. Thank you very much. Download, Bob's your uncle.
So go to pick-time.com. If you put in the word FujiCast, then you will get 1 month free. I'm interested, actually, Kev, in your in the shoot that you did. So you've done a commercial shoot. Did you enjoy it? Headshots?
Yeah, it was all right. They were really nice people. It was over at the De Vere Hotel in the Cotswolds Water Park.
Right.
They came in last week. They said we're doing a kind of what they call it, team building bonding day. We want some fresh headshots for our new website. Are you available? Yes, I am. How much will it cost? It's going to cost this. I'll come at 10 a.m. And it was all done by 10:30. Yeah.
What? 10:30? Half an hour of headshots. It was all. How many did you do?
20.
20?
No, 19.
19. Well, still 19.
Two pictures for each person.
19 in half an hour is going.
That was perfect. I found a nice little space on the stairs with the window light. And I'd already said to them, before you start your presentations and all that, there's no point dragging people in and out. Let's just do it. Allocate, an extra half hour before your meeting starts. And they just all queued up, one after the other. Bish, bash, bosh. Bob's your uncle. Job done. Money in the bank.
I would imagine that you're going to get a lot of bookings from people if that's how quickly you can work, Kev. Because some people can stretch that out across a whole day.
I mean, if they wanted different things, different scenarios, then it would have taken longer. But they just said, we just want headshots. We'll leave it up to you to find the location.
And how did you enjoy the portrait aspect of it? Because of course, as a, in your days of weddings, Kev, portraits were not at the top of your must-do list.
No, but yeah, it was fine. It was nice people. I think it would be, none of them, for example, were prima donnas or anything like that. None of them said, "Oh, I hate having my picture taken." They're all very, very natural, very organic. It was good.
I've got an answer now for people who say, "I hate having my photo taken," as the first thing that they say when you go into a room. And I think I may have shared this with you before, but there's always new listeners. And it happened maybe 2-3 weeks ago. I turned up at this amazing country house, Kev. It was one of those moments where I almost sent you a message and say, what the have we been doing with our life? Look at this. Some people have this, Kev. It was one of those moments. Did I send you the picture of the lovely country house?
I don't think so. But I have to say, that's the first time I've heard you swear on this show.
Well, yeah, but I always bleep it out, you see, Kev.
Oh.
Yeah. They won't know. They'll be probably thinking he said something so polite, because that's not like him. But so the first thing that happened was when I walked into the house, is somebody instantly said to me, "Oh, don't like my photos taken," was quite miserable about it. And I said, "Oh, it's nice to meet you." And we were having a chat, and they were still talking about not liking their photos taken. And I said, my job's a lot like being a dentist. Because I did meet a dentist quite some time back, and I said to them, we are very similar, and they said, no, I don't think so. I said, no, we are. We're the sort of people that when somebody walks into the room, they don't like seeing us. It's that kind of, because you'll always hear it was like having your teeth pulled. And I wonder if when somebody goes to the dentist, they say it's like having your photograph taken. It might be the same sort of thing.
That's a very good analogy. Yeah.
Right, who wants to go first for questions?
You go first.
All right. This is from Jack Tom. Anyway, his Instagram is jacktakesphotos.ig. Hi guys, I've been listening to your wonderful podcast for about 2 years now, and I've only just picked up a Fuji camera in the last 2 months, inspired by you both to take a leap into a career in wedding photography. See? One out, one in. My question, as I've shot film for the last 10 years and only recently moved to digital to do professional work, would you ever consider buying a film camera or take a film camera along to a wedding, alongside your digital cameras, to catch some nostalgic images? Or do you feel you can achieve that in digital? Kindest regards, Jack. Thank you, Jack. I have taken a film camera along, but I've only really ever half used it, Kev, because it's a bit like... Well, there won't be a faff for Jack because, of course, he knows how to... I mean, I'm sure he's got some sort of workflow going on here with his commercial work and what he's done in the past anyway. So maybe it wouldn't be a faff. But I've found I like shooting film. I do shoot film still. But I'm also not sure it will do the same. I don't subscribe to that school of thought that you can do the same with digital that you can do with film in terms of the feeling and the look of the print if you had it in your hands. I went to a really good printer the other day, Kev. His name is Mike Crawford. He's one of those printers in. There's not lots and lots of them left, Kev, to be honest, that can do specialist printing. You know, lithe printing and so is it solarized and so on and so forth. But he can do all that stuff. He's very, very clever. And I tell you what, you know he's a good printer because he took out a book and he said, I did all the prints for this book. There was a load of, before Elliot Erwitt died, they found a whole load of work that had never been printed, never been seen. And Mike, I don't suppose he'd mind me saying, between him and another printer, won the opportunity, the privilege, if you like, to print pictures from the negatives. And then those prints were then used to make the book Found Not Lost. Have you got Found Not Lost?
Don't know off the top of my head. Possibly.
Wonderful, wonderful book. Anyway, I held some prints in my hand, and you know, when you look at the prints in your hand and what's done on film or what's done on digital, I don't get the same feeling, Kev. And I love digital photography. But would you take I mean, you never have you, Kev? You never took a film camera along, did you?
No, it's too late for me, isn't it? But
it's too late, Kevin. It's too late now. No, I'm not.
You drunk? No. You sworn? You're singing?
No, Kev. I've not touched booze now for it's almost 2 months, Kev. Maybe this is the effect.
Really? That's very good. Well done.
I feel a freedom, Kev.
Well done indeed. What was the question again?
Would you take a film camera? You're the one who's been drinking then.
Yes.
Would you take a film camera along to a wedding?
So, no, I wouldn't because I don't have the skill or capacity or anything like that. But I have inherited a massive amount of film equipment recently.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, I've got enlargers. Oh. I've got boxes of stuff. Like enlarge it. What? Say some other words that are relevant to this kind of.
Well, have you got chemicals? Have you
chemicals?
Got
no chemicals.
No fix or anything like that. Or no.
I've got no actual.
Have you got the tanks for agitating?
I've got everything. Tables. I got.
Have you got a print wash?
Zoom-in machines.
Oh, a print washer, Kev. Have you got a print washer?
Yeah, probably. I've got boxes of it. I got it from a.
There's no idea what he's got.
I don't. A friend of mine runs a house clearance business.
Right.
And he got all this stuff and he was like, well, do you want this? I'm not taking to the tip. I was like, yeah. I've got some old, there's some cameras as well, some old Russian film cameras from like the 1950s. They're all sat on my sofa in the studio right now.
Can I come over?
Yeah.
Because this is the stuff I love. I love this stuff. You're going to flog it to me. I know.
Come over now and then we'll start re-recording.
That's it. We should just do that. We should just look through that stuff.
Well, you can come over and help me identify what the heck it is for a start, or somebody can.
I'm delighted to.
But I will. It's given me the impetus to try and do some film photography. Now I'm kind of got a bit more opportunity to do it. But not at weddings. I couldn't. But if you have the capacity and the capability and the brilliance, absolutely, why not? I have in my career, I have had, I would say you could count them on one hand, but inquiries that say we are looking for a film photographer only.
Wow. What cameras do you have, Kev? What brands?
I don't know.
You have no idea, have you?
Do you want me to go and look?
Well, not necessarily, but have you got?
I'll go and look at the camera. Right. Well, hold on.
Is it just one camera that you've got?
No. Hold on.
Well,
hold on. Praktica Pentax Minolta and some Russian lenses and something that says dioptic thing on the box and lots of things.
Well, that's amazing, Kev.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It all looks like it would work. It's all old.
Well, yeah. There's no reason why an old film camera, unless of course it's got, there's all sorts of reasons why an old film camera won't work. But there's a chance that they will.
Yeah, I've got a collection of film cameras anyway, but I'm not so worried about the cameras working. But I would like to get the developing because for film, for me, one of the reasons why I've never really tried it is A, because I know I wouldn't be very good at it, but B, because I'm only interested in if I can develop it myself. I'm not really, I don't want to have to send it off and all that kind of stuff.
Well, I've got the answer for you, Kev, then. Because in the past, you'd have had to, what you'd have done is you'd have got your film, you'd got the film out of the camera, popped it into a tank, you'd have put your chemicals in so you can develop it and then fix it, stop it, and then eventually you'd wash it. That's what those tanks are for, those little, you might have plastic ones with red lids, I don't know, or you might have more traditional types, I don't know. But in the past, you'd have had to use a fair amount, well, not lots, but a few different chemicals and processes to make the whole thing work, which is great fun. Easy, take the film out, then you could have scanned the film and done the work in the digitally from that moment on. Or you could have gone somewhere and produced prints, but essentially you'd have been involved in the film process, Kev, by developing that film that came out, the roll of film that came out of the camera. I'm looking for it and I can't find it, but I know it exists. There is a magical mixture now, which is essentially it does the whole thing. It develops it.
Do you need a dark room?
No, you wouldn't. You'd need Granny's knickers.
Okay, well, I'm interested in that. Send me details, please, when you get time.
What, then Granny's knickers?
Oh, Granny's knickers.
Do you know what Granny's knickers are?
No.
It's the name for a changing bag, essentially. So you can do the whole thing, but they were just so big and black and I don't know if they were frilly, but they were nicknamed. They are nicknamed Granny's knickers. So if anybody ever said, "You got some Granny's knickers?" then that's what they mean. But there we go.
Right. Understood.
Anyway, there we go.
I probably have got some Granny's knickers.
You probably have, but we don't really. Move on. Jack, no, we haven't used it. I think it's a great idea if you do take a few. I think it would be fun. And since you have experience in film, it might be good for you, Jack. It might be good for you. Right, your question, Kev.
Oh, one moment, caller. I was doing something else.
Nice to know you stay with us.
I just typed in Granny's knickers into Google and all kinds of things happened.
God, Kev, don't do that.
Okay, so the most recent question in the Facebook group is from Joaquin Sintron, but I think it's Joaquin. Because he
Didn't we have Joaquin last week?
I don't think so. This was submitted 13 hours ago.
Oh, right. Well, definitely not then.
He says, "Hey gang, Wokin, joking. I'm not sure, but in quotes, let's go for Wokin.
Like Joaquin Phoenix, I would imagine.
Yes, but then in quotes he says not Phoenix. That's the point I was getting to.
And what he means is he is not Phoenix.
No, he's not. So yes, we did have a question from him, didn't we? Yeah. Last episode. Anyway, he's back like a phoenix rising from the.
Well rescued. Anyway, yeah.
he says, just wondering if either of you often employ second shooters in your wedding photography, or if it's common practice with your colleagues. I'm not a wedding photographer, but it seems pretty standard here in the United States of America. But I recently read that it's not common in all countries. Also, do you hire assistants often? I'm getting into off-camera flash for the first time and it's awesome, but I'm finding that it would be way easier with an assistant helping out with moving and holding light stands and reflectors. There we go.
Well, we both use second shooters, but not very often, do we? It has to be a particular requirement, a really large wedding, or somebody will have asked for it because there's many, many more hours. But I don't use them very often, Kev. I certainly don't use assistants, but then I don't do that sort of lighting. No,
so I very infrequently use second shooters. I had one 2 weeks ago. Our good friend Paul Waring. Yeah. And
I was trying to get him on the same day, by the way, Kev. You beat me to it.
I booked him about 18 months ago for that. Yeah. And that was because the clients on my booking form, they have a little checkbox. Do you need a second shooter? It's going to cost this much. Yeah. And these clients went for it. So yeah, it's very infrequent, but when it's a second shooter, it's important that you have somebody who shoots in the same way as you. I would also suggest shoots with the same camera system just for editing purposes. And yeah, it's fine. Some people, I would say in America, it's much more of a popular thing. Like more photographers, have basically more the merrier, isn't it? In America, bigger than everything, more this, more pictures, more that. And so, yeah, I think pretty much everybody I know in America typically has second shooters with them. I mean, there was that documentary with, what's his name?
I don't know, Kev.
The one you had a Wii next to.
Oh, Joe Busey.
Yes.
Joe Music. This is turning into a very strange show today.
Oh, no, God. That documentary with Joe Busick.
I should just explain, by the way.
There was 5 photographers on that gig.
Did. Yeah, but can I just explain, Kev, before you move on? There's nothing strange in that. It's just that we were both at this meeting or this thing that he was doing, and I just happened to be in the gents when he was in there. It was one of those moments where you don't know what to say to somebody when they're in the little boys' room at the same time. So you just scratch and sniff a bit. Anyway, so he had he had about 5 people with him, did he?
Yes, he did.
That's a huge crew. Goodness, what are you going to do with 5?
Yeah, and anyway, whatever. So yes, but ultimately have them if you want them, but make sure the clients are aware. And I don't really subscribe to the idea of paparazzi all throughout the day, whether I'm by myself or with having a second shooter.
Yeah.
But if the clients want, make sure you make money and make sure you make good money, because a good second shooter will want good paying. Especially if they're established photographers in their own right, they're taking up a day. It's easier for them obviously because Paul turned up, took the pictures, and sent me the raw files.
So you're working with his raws.
I'm working with his raws. Yeah. So he's not going to expect a full day rate like he was shooting his own wedding, but he will want, good rates. So, and that's only fair. And then the human light stand idea. Yeah. I mean, again, you do see that more on kind of commercial editorial shoots, don't you? People who are employed to set up things, move things, direct light, etc., etc. I don't think you would need it at a wedding, I'd say, really, because you're probably only going to be using the lighting very infrequently, depending on the style. But yeah, there you go.
Mark Loader. Greetings, British gentlefolk. Blimey. Kevin's comments on the non-placement...
It was like Gandalf.
It was a bit, wasn't it? Kevin's comments on the non-placement of the excellent Viltrox 75 for his wedding kit, along with his 18 plus 56. You did say 56, didn't you, Kev? Because he's got a question mark there. I'm thinking the 75 with its extra compression would prove more than a tad useful on down the aisle shots, particularly at a larger church. I don't mean York Minster, Ely, Salisbury, but some do have a long aisle. Also, for the unscripted moments, the longer focal length would afford you the opportunity to be like, dare I say it, a sniper. Get that moment, and no one sees or hears you. Maybe borrow one, give it a try. At the least, it'd be interesting and fun. What do you think? Cheers from Oz, from Mark Loader. I guess it would be fun, wouldn't it? Yeah.
The 75 is great. I've got that also. It's a fab lens. I did use it actually at a recent wedding because of that very reason. Quite a long church aisle. And no, sorry, I'm completely lying.
Are you?
I never used it at the church. I was just thinking back to that wedding. But I did use it at the wedding for the speeches because they had trestle tables and I couldn't get between them. So I was at the back and the 75 was a little bit better than the 56.
Bet it was, yeah. Yeah, those trestle tables. I've tried to get along the trestle tables. We end up knocking something over or bumping into people. Excuse me, sorry.
Oh, I don't like going between them. But so I used it then. Viltrox are doing amazing things, I've got to say. Absolutely amazing things. Their lenses, the Pro monocod lenses are superb. Really, really cool.
Right. Yours, Kev? We're rattling through them now, you see. It took us a while. I mean, we started on trucks and country music artists. But let's go back
to one we haven't answered yet. Daryl Walters. This is from 16 weeks ago, so I don't know if Daryl's still...
He'll be there.
Hi, guys. Hope you're well. Were you well 16 weeks ago, Neil, do you think?
I think so, yeah.
Good.
I've still got the same amount of limbs attached, so I must have been.
He starts this post off by saying, a thought. I have the XT5 and the X100V. I have 3 zooms, 16-55, 50-140, 150 to 600, and the 35mm f1.4. Do I upgrade the X100V to the, he says, the terrible 6, or look at investing in more lenses for the XT5.
What do you mean the terrible 6? What do you mean?
The terrible 6. He means the X100 VI.
Oh, right, okay.
Wrote the word 6.
Oh, right.
I refuse to call it that.
Although it works for other parts of, when you're talking about country music stars.
Well, I said the Roman numerals, didn't I? VI.
You did.
I stick by my rules. I does. I know the XT5 is a larger camera.
Yeah.
It was more in thinking that I already have the newest sensor in the XT5 and I can only use one camera at a time. Just wondering what your thoughts would be. So, in summary, he's got an XT5 and he already has an X100V. He's got pretty much every focal length covered in lenses for his XT5. Does he get the X100VI or does he get more lenses for the XT5?
Yeah. I'd spend the money on a couple of primes then.
Yeah, me too. I would probably, look at 18mm, 56mm, all those Viltrox lenses. Yeah, go primes, fast primes, 1.2s, 1.4s to go with your 35mm f1.4. Keep the X100V because the X100VI internal gubbins and jiggery pokery you already have with your XT5. Yeah. Yes, there we go. That's it. That's what I would say.
Job done. Hopefully 16 weeks later he hasn't done it the other way and said, oh no, I did it the other way.
He's probably still waiting for X100VI.
That's true. Sandro Correa. That's a lovely name, isn't it, Kev?
Yeah.
Hi Kev, hi Neil. I've followed the Fujicast for some time. Always a pleasure to hear you guys talking and commenting about photography related topics. Buckle in for this one, Kev. It's a bit long. In a nice way. My name is Sandro. I'm from Madeira Island. I work in the telecoms industry. My question, however, was inspired when I heard the last part of episode 262, New Year, New Camera. So this has been, oh my word, Kev, this has been in the inbox for a while. I'm not quite sure why we didn't see this. I apologise, Sandro. Anyway, yes, Kev did say that questions don't have to be gear related. So I've got one that might be a surprise. My question is, how can I stop trying to be a photographer? Trying being the word that he's essentially highlighted here. Let me explain. I've had a lot of gear, point and shoot, DSLR, then a better DSLR, after which I joined the film movement and learned to develop film at home. That proved to be expensive, so I dropped that, and at the same time my heavy DSLR, opting for my first Fuji, the X30, which I still have to this day. But the collecting continued. An XT20, then an X Pro 1, followed by an X Pro 3. I bought primes, telezooms, the lot. But my photography, well, that sucks, I think. I mean, I can take pictures in terms of all the tech knowledge, and I've taken a lot, but with one or two exceptions, the results have been, well, a bit meh. I'll add into this story that I've even trained some enthusiasts, and I think their work is better than mine. So now I'm left thinking, why do I do this? Why do I carry on spending money? I mean, right now, I'm looking for an expensive Billingham bag, which I really don't need. So please, Kev, please, Neil, based on your work, your life, your workshops, I'm sure you've found others like me who have all the gear, but just don't really know how to take a good picture. I'm not necessarily looking to go pro, I just want to self-express and document life and generally enjoy it. But the feeling is, I'm just not improving. How can I expel this creative demon? Thank you. Well, before I hand the mic to you, as it is, or as such, Kev, I think, Sandro, the problem with a subjective medium or art form like photography is exactly what's happening here. What you think may suck, others may well disagree with. I think if you're constantly hard on yourself, it can really slow you down, take you away from the joy of this thing. So I'd suggest give yourself some credit, recognise how far you've come, and it's a very overused word, the J word, but enjoy the journey. Is this the danger of overthinking too as well, Kev? Perhaps, maybe, just could be.
Yeah, don't be. We are all our own worst critics. But yeah, just do it for fun, isn't it? Unless you're being paid, then it's not different thing. But if you're
going to workshops,
maybe pare down your equipment. Some people get overrun by the amount of equipment they've got and gear and gadgets and tech. Maybe just think, well, what do I like using the most? And whatever that may be, keep it and get rid of the rest.
Sandro's got so much gear. XT20, X Pro 1, X Pro 3s, telezooms, All sorts of stuff here. Yeah, pare it down. I heard somebody recently say that they. Who was it? Do you know it might have been a Jeff Ascough film? Funnily enough, we had a discussion about that the other day, didn't we, Kev? And I watched a couple of minutes of one of Jeff's films, and I just happened to pick a film where he was talking about how I think he'd been wrestling with, must use that camera and that lens. I'll just change the lens there when I go on the street, and then eventually he said, do you know, I got much better when I used one camera and one lens, 28mm I think it was, one camera, one lens, and just concentrated on that.
Yeah, that's what I would say.
If you chose one camera, one lens, Kev, what would it be?
X100 VI.
Is that it?
Yeah. I would find it hard to, if I absolutely had to get rid of everything and only keep one camera and one lens, I think it would have to be that. But I would find it really hard to get rid of my X70 as well.
Right, your question.
Adam Featherstone says, this one might be a little bit late for next week's show, but which pub are we going to on Saturday? I suspect this was from... So what I'm trying to do to you all here, dear listeners, is explain that we're not getting many questions on the Facebook group at the moment, and I am digging into the past. And so I suspect that Adam was sending that just before the little conference you had at the House of Photography back in February.
Oh, the one where what was it, your foot in the end?
My knee.
And I thought it was your foot. God, no. What is it with you and your foot and your leg and your knee, Kev?
Yeah.
Hey?
Yes. I've been all right since, luckily, fingers crossed. Anyway, so we'll move on to another question. Ben Niznik says, on a recent podcast, you both mentioned that you have tinnitus. I'd like to know how you, Kev, and you, Neale, deal with it. I've had to stop photographing live music because it seems worse after it, even with hearing protection, which makes me sad. Any advice would be welcome. Thank you.
Well, it's not a laughing matter, that's for sure. It's horrible.
It's a horrible thing.
It is absolutely horrible. And it's very difficult to describe to somebody who just thinks it's just a ringing in the ear, isn't it? No, it's just not just a ringing in the ear. Have you tried?
I don't do anything about it. It's there constantly, but I wouldn't say it dramatically affects me.
It's definitely worse when I've been to a wedding where I've been doing maybe 1 or 2 hours coverage of a band.
Oh yeah.
And the speakers usually are too close to you. They're at ear height, and it just rattles through you. And I'm left on the journey home thinking, and I do have little ear buds that I put in. I used to have a really good set, and I can't remember who made them. So you could effectively still hear conversation, but it didn't let some of the frequency ranges through. They were brilliant, Kev. They were so expensive, and I lost them one by one. They've all gone now, and I must get some more. But it is,
it's not nice.
No,
it's not nice. But it's not. I don't think for either of us, it's as bad as it is for a lot of people. Yeah. Maybe if Neale can think about those gizmos, we will put them in the show notes, assuming he can find it.
When I'm editing the show, I will make a note to self and try and have a proper search for them, because they weren't cheap, but they were really, really good. I don't know about you, Kev, but as you get older, Kev, I noticed this the other day. I was chatting with Giles in a coffee shop of all places, not a particularly busy one, but with a barrister going bang, 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 and all that sort of stuff going on and all that.
Barista.
Barista.
I was thinking barrister.
Well, yeah, was it a posh one in London?
Was there a court going on?
Oh yeah, it was the court of coffee. With all that noise going on, I couldn't really concentrate on Giles, and I thought, what is happening? I was offered a hearing test when I had my last sight test, and I said, no, I'm all right, thanks very much. Or they'd said, would you like a coffee? And I hadn't actually heard them properly. I don't know. But there's dark humour about that. But in terms of tinnitus, it's horrible. What is your tinnitus, Kev? Can you describe what your form is?
Not really. Is
it a tone, or is it a hum, or is it?
No, it's more of a deep, hollow sound.
Oh,
although maybe it's not deep; it's quite high pitched. But it's like a hollow.
Well, can you hear it now, for example, if we go quiet?
Yeah, I can hear it all the time, but I sometimes have to, I think, now I'm thinking about it, I can hear it, but up until this question came up, it wasn't bothering me. It was there, but I wasn't noticing it.
I've learned to filter it out quite a lot. I'm just aware of it when I go to weddings with loud music. But the rest of the time, I pretty much filter it out. The only time I had a couple of weeks ago, I went to a studio, and it was a proper soundproof studio. And as soon as you went boom, boom on the door, I thought, there it was, loud and clear. I thought, blimey. In the silence of a really good professional broadcast studio, it was like, it was really obvious.
Yeah. Right. On a lighter note, Nicholas Charles Nicholas says, would an infinite number of monkeys with an infinite number of cameras produce all the images that can ever be produced? Or can monkeys only use typewriters? I see where he's going here.
Do you?
Yes. So there's a theorem, isn't there? I think it's called the infinite monkey theory.
Theorem.
Anyway, the theory is that if an infinite number of monkeys were given typewriters, sooner or later they would reproduce the works of William Shakespeare.
Right.
That's the theory.
Okay.
So that's what he's relating this to. We did say any questions. So my answer, Nicholas Charles Nicholas, is yes.
Nicholas Charles Nicholas for the Infinite Monkeys question. I know there should be a prize for that.
That's a good question.
I think we've got time for one more, Kev. Stuart Palmer. And now I know we've talked about a question very similar to this, but in that things get asked all the time anyway. Let's just have a go at it. Do you or have you used different cameras from different manufacturers for an assignment? So yeah, we had one very similar to this. I think Stuart uses Canon and Olympus. But it does a couple of specific things, his setup anyway, that's just easier with a Canon. But I've also rented Fuji cameras, mainly to try them, but I like them. Do you think you could use two different brands? Is it a good idea or is it difficult to work with quickly? The similar question we had before was using different bodies, like using an XT5 with an X100 V or VI, whether you can interchange bodies within your camera bag. And you do, don't you, actually? You're quite happy to use a Pro alongside a T, aren't you?
Yeah.
Alongside a...
Yeah. I mean, I typically try and use same sensor cameras, but not always. And it depends on when the cameras come out. So I might only have one of, let's say the next sensor cameras come out, I might only have one of them, and so I have to use that and the previous sensor camera.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would, from an editing point of view, from the characteristics of the images, I would use the same manufacturer.
I used an X100V, and I think when it had just come out, the XH2S, I think it had just come out, and I used that for a wedding. I used the two different cameras, and I was really delighted with the way it felt, and I really enjoyed that. Using different brands, though, I think it would be trickier because of the file differences, which is what you're saying effectively, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Go on, though. I think we have got time for one more because we have rattled through these ones now.
Oh, my word. I've closed it down now.
No, don't close it down. Open up again, Kev.
Hang on. All right, boss. Daniel Kiss, 3 weeks ago, says, hi, Neale and Kev.
Yes.
He says he's just spicing up the order for fun.
Right.
Question for the show. Do you have any advice for shooting weddings on non-flattering, aka ugly locations, or in locations, I should say? Oh. I sometimes get commissioned to shoot weddings at countryside wedding venues where the place itself, the decoration and the lighting is all absolutely horrible. Sometimes I wonder if a professional or a well-experienced photographer could do anything nice there, or the end results are not skill dependent in these cases. Can you get good results in ugly locations? Thank you very much.
Well, I always say corporate carpet is corporate carpet. There's nothing you can do about it. But and what is he talking about? I think sometimes difficult locations, less attractive locations, can actually make for really interesting, quirky pictures, can't they, Kev? Like, if you go to... a pub comes to mind. I was photographing in a pub recently at a wedding, and I think, for the way I felt anyway, I think I got some of the most pleasing pictures I've taken for a long, long time.
I love photographing weddings in pubs.
Yeah, very small, sort of tight, compact, difficult to photograph in.
Was it the Peasant in North London?
It wasn't the Peasant in North London. I've never been to the Peasant in North London.
There's like a wedding factory in that place.
Is it? I've never been there. What's that like then, Kev?
I've done... Oh, it's like a normal corner pub.
Do you mean the Pheasant or the Peasant?
No, it's called the Peasant. Not the Pheasant.
The Peasant in North London. I'll look it up while you're talking about
Peasant pub. There's a blog post on my website. Shot there. I've shot there about 6 times over the years. It's a proper good old-fashioned pub. So to answer while you're looking that up, Daniel's question, from my point of view, you can only photograph what's in front of you, of course, but you can be a little bit, I mean, obviously, Neale and I mostly shoot, in the documentary style, so we're not, adding lights and moving things around and what have you. Just because that's the way we work doesn't mean you have to do it that way, but I do try and mitigate as much in the background by moving myself, looking for good light, good light, flattering light from windows, spot metering, that kind of stuff can kind of mitigate all sorts of badliness in the background.
Badliness.
I'm
trying to look up your peasant pub here. I just did a Google search on it. The peasant. No, you won't ever work in the peasant again.
Oh, is it closed?
It says on its Google thing here, permanently closed. Mosaic floored Victorian pub with a bright upstairs dining room, serving a European set menu. This is the one I think you mean. It's in it's in London EC1V. Is that the one you would have been?
That's the one. Yeah. If you search Kevin space Mullins space peasant space pub, you'll see my
Kevin space Mullins space peasant space pub.
Yeah.
So what is it about places that are a bit more challenging for you, Kev?
I love it. Like, if you look at these pictures, you'll see like there's windows, there's mirrors, there's the kind of outsidey bits. It's a bit of a mess, So it's like a good old fashioned, there's coffee machines in there. There's
God, look at this place.
It's great, isn't it?
It looks like the general hoi polloi are in there at the same time as well.
I'm sad it's closed. I used to like going there. I wonder why it's closed.
Well, I mean, it just says that on Tinternet. I mean, it may not be.
Yeah,
worth checking, but
yeah, you're right. It says permanently closed.
How do you deal with it, Kev, when you're photographing people at pubs? Because I've done this where you think, I can't photograph you here because there's the general public there as well. Do you try and steer clear of them?
Well, within reason, yeah. I mean, but no, not purposefully. If they're in the background or whatever, then in interactions. But I think mostly, what Daniel was on about is kind of color, light, walls, that kind of thing. Buildings, and he's right because I've been so many times. I've rocked up to a wedding venue that looks amazing on the inside, on the outside, and you go inside and it is a conference room. Essentially.
Well, that's because they always say we let you, we give you a blank canvas. But when a wedding venue says we give you a blank canvas, they literally do.
Yeah, true. But, you've got this beautiful Georgian house building type thing. And inside, it's a room with blue carpets, fire extinguishers and, and sodium
exit
lights.
signs usually above where they do the speeches. Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, you just got to go with it, haven't you? Just do your best. Look for the light. Always look for the light. That's the thing that I always end up doing.
Look for the light. Well,
the fire exits.
The fire exit signs. Yeah. That's it for another couple of weeks. Very soon, Kev, you're going to be in Spain. I'm not quite sure. We're going to have to record a few before you jet out, aren't we?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we will. I think we might have to do 2.
Yeah. You're not there for the whole month this time, though, are you?
3 weeks.
3 weeks. 3 weeks, Kev. How are you going to cope? 3 weeks?
I don't know. Yeah.
That's not right, is it?
Although we do get back just in time for my birthday, and I've got tickets for us to go and see Arsenal versus Lyon at the Emirates.
You are joking, Kev. That's amazing. Do you need somebody to hold your bags?
No, you can go. It's only friendly. You'll be able to get tickets.
Do you think so for that one?
Yeah.
Meet you there then. Right,
see you there.
That's it. So if you want to send some questions in, click at fujicast.co.uk. We could do with some. You're right, Kev. The summer comes along and people are doing other stuff. So please keep sending questions in and join in on the Facebook page as well. How do you do that, Kev?
Go to the Facebook page, the FujiCast, and there is a post that says questions for the show.
Good.
That's simple.
Good luck. Good luck tonight, Kev. With your,
I've forgotten about that.
Your show. Well, don't forget about your chauffeuring.
I've got my hat on now as we speak.
Have you? Oh, very fetching as well. Do you know? Next time we speak, Kev, for the main show anyway, there'll be a new government. There'll be a new government, Kev.
Well, there might be.
Well, that's true.
You don't know. Can you see me?
I can see you. Look at him. Look at that. Oh, he looks proper dapper. They'll love you, Kev. They'll love you. See you next time. Bye-bye.
The Fujicast is an independent Loading Zone production. Email the show with your questions and words of wisdom to click@fujicast.co.uk. Email any complaints and political nonsense to our wives, who will deal with your comments in their own good time and in their own good way.